Hello, my name is Ribana Roscher and I want to present our paper Controlled Multimodal Image Generation for Plant Growth Modeling, which was presented at the International Conference on Pattern Recognition last summer. So when we have a look at such an agriculture field and we work with robotics and with machine learning methods for phenotyping, we can ask ourselves different questions. So for example, we can ask what is on the field, which is a typical classification task, or we can ask what is the yield in a specific area, which is a typical regression task, or we can ask ourselves, what will a plant look like in the future? And this is a forecasting task, and this is exactly the question we addressed in our paper. So imagine the following scenario. You already know that when plants grow closely together, this can be very beneficial. So for example, it can increase the biomass. The crucial question is now, what is actually a good mixture? And so what you can do is you can test different mixtures, then you can collect data, and then you can learn a model from this information, and this model relates the information from what you have measured to a parameter like the biomass. So you have a relationship between the mixtures and the biomass. And then the good thing is this model can be applied to new mixtures. And these new mixtures were not tested yet in the field before, so you get an idea what potential good mixtures are. And one problem is now that one might be interested in the biomass and the other might be interested in the spread of diseases. So it would be good to have or to combine this and to get complete information. And this can be done if you model the whole appearance of plants. That means if you generate images. And with this, you are flexible in what you do with the result, because it can be treated such as an artificial sensor measurement. So in order to generate such images, we used so-called generative adversarial networks illustrated here. And this is a neural network consisting of two parts. So one part is the generator G, and this generator is responsible to generate images. The other part is the discriminator, and the discriminator helps to train the generator to generate really good images. The discriminator does it by trying to distinguish between real images and images which were generated by the generator. So in the best case, the generator generates such good images that the discriminator can no longer distinguish between a real image and an image which was generated. But there's one crucial thing which is important for our application. So we do not only want to generate an arbitrary nice-looking image, we want to condition on specific factors, on specific things. And one important thing is we want to condition on the appearance of an additional input image, which is from an earlier point in time. And the second important thing is we want to condition on so-called factors of variation. And these factors of variation are factors which influence the appearance of the plants. And the novelty of our paper is exactly this part. Because on the one hand, we learned the representation, which is useful for the machine learning model. But on the other side, it was we can also easily and intuitively change these factors of variation so that we can produce different scenarios, different outcomes. And so here you can see results which we presented in our paper, where we generated images with changed factors of variation. So our data set contains UAV images, which were captures in Campus Klein-Altendorf, where we have different mixtures of springweed and faba bean. And we also collected different factors of variation, which belong to these mixtures. And they are illustrated in green, in light blue, and in dark blue. And on the left, you can see the input image, which is from an early growth stage. And this is the real scene from a later growth stage and the measured factors of variation. And these images are all generated images. So here we change the factors of variation. So for example, on the very right image, you can see we set all factors of variation for Faber beam to 0, and actually there are no Faber beam plants in the generated image. So we can clearly control and manipulate how the images can be generated. And from these images, we can now derive specific parameters, pointing us to potential promising mixtures we can later test in the field. With this, thank you very much for listening. You can find the paper by scanning the QR code, and if you are more interested in this research direction, you can go to our website, or you can have a look in my YouTube channel. Thanks a lot.